Hello, YouTube world. This is Johnny Mo coming to you with another edition of Motivational Monday. And today I want to talk to you about a very special thing that happened to me. I can't remember when it actually happened, but I went to see this guy in Pittsburgh, and he was he's kind of like a motivational speaker. He's one of my favorite motivational speakers. And we call him the king of the one-liners. And after, I actually ended up getting to work with him at this conference, and he gave me all kinds of free material. Got to meet him backstage and everything. It was pretty cool. I remember coming home one night, and I was like, man, I would really love to have one of those one-liners. I would love to have a one-liner that was just mine. And so I went to bed that night, and I was just so fired up. You know how it is when you go to something, you're just so fired up to go out and live and do everything that the speaker was talking about. But at that time, I went to bed. I got up about 2 o'clock, and my mind was going so much. And I got this thought, and I got this one-liner, and I'm like, there's no way this is my one-liner. And so what I did is I looked it up on the computer, and there was no one who had this one-liner. And still to this day, there isn't anyone. The one-liner is simply this: what you fail to deal with will be back to deal with you. I've preached this from pulpits. My friends have preached this from pulpits. And it's one of the most truest statements that you can ever come across. It has to do a lot about business. So I want you to say it with me. What you fail to deal with will be back to deal with you. Think about that in its wholeness. I actually ended up 2 weeks later preaching this message on a Wednesday night at one of the churches I was at about King Saul was the first king of Israel, and God told King Saul to kill every Amalekite. And King Saul decided that he wasn't going to kill them all. He was going to keep some of them. And eventually, because of the penalty for not doing that, eventually he was killed by an Amalekite. And you can read the killing part of it in 2 Samuel chapter 1, and it talks about how an Amalekite come across Saul and seen that he was wounded and actually killed him. And it was because he didn't deal with the Amalekites way back when he had the chance to. In the end, it was an Amalekite that killed him. See, what you fail to deal with will be back to deal with you. There's just no getting around it. You can Google the saying. It's not going to come up with me, but it's just there's no one else that has it. I've kept this saying, and it's one of the most realist statements that you can ever experience in your life, in your business, in your personal life. If you are having marital issues and you know that you're having marital issues and you fail to deal with it, it will be back to deal with you. If you're a person who chews and smokes and does all these types of things, someday those habits will come back to deal with you if you don't deal with them. If you're someone like me who overeats quite a bit, those habits will come back to deal with you. It's something that you have to deal with. If you're not making profit in your business, or you're not paying attention to your numbers, and all of a sudden one day those numbers will be back to deal with you. And this is motivational money. This is what it's about. It's about looking in the mirror. It's about, what am I failing to deal with, whether it be in marriage, whether it be in finances, whether it be in business, relationships, whatever it may be. What are you failing to deal with? What is those things that you've been putting off that you know? It's like changing your engine oil. You know you need to change your engine oil. No, let it go another 1,000. Let it go another 1,000. And all of a sudden the engine blows up. And isn't it funny how when you fail to deal with it, it comes back and like, boom, it just blows up on you. And it's because you failed to deal with it when it was little. I remember this one time we were running a walk behind, and it had been like 96 degrees, full humidity, and I knew that this little walk behind it would use oil. But for some reason, I just never decided to check it. And one of my employees had it, and all of a sudden I was listening, I heard bang, 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 bang! Blew a rod right outside of the block. And I took it in, and I remember it cost me $900 to put a new engine on my walk behind. And the reason why is because I failed to deal with it. I failed to do something really, really simple. And sometimes it's the little simple things that you fail to deal with, like telling your wife or husband that you love them, spending some quality time, in the rushness of this business, this type of year, these types of seasons, where it just all of a sudden you get a pockets of rain where it rains for days, and you're just so buried, and your mind is so preoccupied, and then you forget to deal with some of the most important things in your life. And it's in those times and in those things that you really need to sit down and it's like, what am I not dealing with? I don't want that to come back to deal with me. And you need to think. You need to think as a business owner right now. You sit down in your office, you sit down and really make a list and really decide what are those things that I'm not dealing with? What are the repercussions from those things? Because sometimes when they come back to deal with you, it's not in a good way. It could be like King Saul, where the very last face you saw was the very thing that God told you to deal with, and you didn't, and it killed you. This is Motivational Monday. A little bit different style I've been trying here lately. A little bit different motivation. I'm going to give you some of my key one-liners. Again, if you would, go over to Stanley Genedak's podcast and listen to the interview that we did. I truly appreciate it. And this is Motivational Monday, baby. And what you fail to deal with will be back to deal with you. See you guys. You have a great week.